In this video, we will learn to determine the so-called common names of ethers. Ethers can go by either their IUPAC name or by their common designation, and for purposes of this course, the common designation is all that we really need to be aware of with regard to the simple ethers that we will be working with here. I put this flame on the slide for ethers because one of the key properties of ethers is that they are generally highly volatile, meaning they turn into the gas state very easily, and they are also typically highly flammable, making for a somewhat dangerous combination when working with these in the lab. Nonetheless, ethers are common solvents in which organic reactions are carried out. Also, historically, ether, specifically diethyl ether, was used as a strong anesthetic for dentistry and medicine. It's since been phased out because of issues with flammability, as well as the discovery of compounds that have fewer toxic side effects. Let's go ahead and get started with naming ethers using the common nomenclature. The rules for naming ethers using common nomenclature will apply generally toward relatively simple ethers. So we will apply that here. Common nomenclature, getting this all out on paper here, or virtual paper, common nomenclature of ethers. The template that we will use for determining the common name of ethers is we refer to them as alkyl space alkyl ether. That is the template that we will use for determining the common name, where the two names of the alkyl groups refer to the alkyl groups that are directly bonded to the oxygen on each side of the ether group. And we list those in alphabetical order in the name. For example, if we have this ether, on one side of the ether group, we have a methyl group, that's our one carbon chain. On the other side, we have an ethyl group, that is our two carbon chain. And so the common name for this molecule, putting those in alphabetical order, would be ethyl, coming first in the alphabet, space methyl, space ether. 3 words to make up the complete common name for this molecule. You will need to be proficient at naming your alkyl groups for this exercise because you will need to be able to apply terms such as isopropyl, sec-butyl, isobutyl, tert-butyl, and so on. So let's try an example where we do need to be aware of those terminologies. How about naming this particular ether? Using common nomenclature, I'm going to take the same approach that I did for that simpler example up top. The group here, having 3 carbons in total, and being bonded at the central carbon to the oxygen of the ether group, makes this referred to as an isopropyl group. So I'm going to tag that as isopropyl. We come over to the other side here. This group has a grand total of 4 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4. So our alkyl name for that is going to be one of the ones that corresponds to 4 carbons, such as butyl, isobutyl, sec-butyl, or tert-butyl. Our task here is to determine which one it is. You will notice that as we dissect this, we have a CH2 group directly connected to our ether group, CH2 and ether, and then coming away from that position, we have our group here that's a carbon directly bonded to 2 methyl groups. We refer to this as an iso group. In the case of here with the isopropyl, having that branch at the next to last carbon of the chain caused this to be called an isopropyl group because there are 3 carbons total. Here there's 4 carbons total, 1, 2, 3, 4. With that methyl branch there at the next to the last carbon of the chain, that causes this to be referred to as an isobutyl group, where the iso term designates that there is a methyl group at the next to the last carbon of the chain when we're at the far end of the chain here. This being the far end because it's furthest from the oxygen, which is the origin of the start point of the chain. So isobutyl is the term that we'd use to name that. Putting these in alphabetical order, isobutyl versus isopropyl. B comes first in the alphabet before P, and so we would have the proper IUPAC, or proper common name rather, for this is isobutyl, isopropyl, ether, as 3 separate words here to determine the full name for this structure. We can also use this towards simple cyclic molecules as well, where if, say we had, for example, this group directly connected to an oxygen and directly connected to this chain here, we can apply the same system that we have here for these simple alkyl groups. We'll start with maybe what's the easier one over here on the right. It has 3 carbons in total, 1, 2, 3. Those are all in a chain, and so we would refer to this simply as a propyl group. On the other hand, at the other end here, we have a 6-membered ring directly connected to the oxygen, and we refer to that 6-membered ring, when we think about it as being a group, it gets the YL suffix because it's not the parent chain, it's a group or branch coming off of the parent in this case. And so it gets the suffix YL, and so we would call this a cyclohexyl group. The YL lets us know that that is alkyl group coming off of the parent, and we consider the parent in this common nomenclature to be the ether oxygen itself. So this is cyclo because the carbon atoms aren't part of a chain, but instead they're latched into a ring here that has 6 carbons because there's 6 bens in that ring, and hence the term hex is going to refer to the number of carbons. Hexyl refers to the fact that it is this branch coming off. Putting these into alphabetical order to determine the full common name for this molecule. The full common name for this molecule here, we would refer to as cyclohexyl propyl ether. Cyclohexyl space propyl space ether. And with that final example now in place, you should be comfortable and competent at determining the common names of ethers, where to determine the common names of ethers, the central theme is that you will always be applying this template where they're named as alkyl-alkyl ethers, where the 2 alkyl names there will be referring to the names of the alkyl groups that are bonded directly to the oxygen. List those in alphabetical order, put a space in between them, and then tag the term ether at the end with a space before that as well.